2024 World Day for the protection of the ozone layer, and because of that, as the world commemorates the day, we're here on Anambra Broadcasting Service to look at ozone protection, our shared responsibility for a healthier us. Ozone protection, our shared responsibility for a healthier us. Now, when we talk about ozone layer, some of us think it's just the air, and we have professionals in the studio this morning to talk about this. Let's see what actually is ozone layer, and it's, what we stand to gain as a people. Then, of course, do we know that we have a responsibility when it comes to ozone layer? So the professionals in the studio will be here to tell us more on what we need to understand about the ozone layer. My guest in the studio this morning, Chinelo Umokafo, is the Secretary, Nigeria Environment Society. You're welcome to the studio, Chi.
Good morning, ma.
You're welcome.
Good morning, the viewers.
All right, I also have Dr. Emmanuel Chukwuma. Dr. Emmanuel Chukwuma is an activist on environmental sustainability. He is also an engineer and a lecturer at Nnamdi Azikiwe University here in Oka. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies first. Let me start with Chinelo. All right, Chinelo, you are a professional when it comes to environment. Let's understand from you what ozone layer is all about and its work towards us as human.
Okay. Ozone layer is the protective thing that covers us from the rays of the sun. So it protects us from the UV rays of the sun. So it's very important to us, as much as we need the sun, but we don't need the UV. The exposure of the UV to our skin can cause so many things. In fact, to some extent now, it's advisable if you are living outside your house, you should use a sunscreen to just protect yourself from the sun. So the ozone layer has always been there to just protect the rays of the sun to the humans. So now it's depleting, and we need to do something about it. And for the UN and the world to gather to talk about the ozone layer and depletion is a very serious thing. And it has continued, and in fact, today is a wonderful day. We should always talk about the ozone layer and how it affects us, and how we should also do our own responsibilities as individuals to contribute to making this ozone layer comfortable for us.
Okay, now, Doc, Chinelo said something about the ozone layer depleting. Does it just deplete? Is there anything that have caused the ozone layer to start depleting? Because according to how originally the ozone layer has been there to protect us, now that it is depleting, is there anything we have done to make it to start depleting?
Yes, of course. Excuse me. So, the earth has been created and it's in order. But whenever we have this order, it's always linked to human activities. Okay, and then some of the activities involve some of the chemicals generated on the surface of the earth that tends to react with the ozone layer. So when you talk about the ozone layer, it's just like you have oxygen as O2. The ozone layer is O3. So it's actually a gas that is just there to prevent, like she said, the UV is ultraviolet rays. So that's a dangerous ray emitted from the sun, which we actually don't need. So God in his wisdom puts that shield. So but the chemicals from human activities are reacting with it, and it's depleting it and creating a hole. So what happens now is, instead of having this shield, we now have direct sunlight with the dangers
on humans.
Yeah.
And that is what is actually causing a lot of problems.
And what are the effects of this, if nothing is done about it?
Now we hear about skin cancers and human. In fact, mostly it affects our health, generally. And it also affects the environment, general environmental disease. So, okay. Okay. The rate at which the sun gets to us now, if you have been alive for a very long time, like 70s, and if you meet an old person and the person tells you, the sun is too harsh on the skin now, And it was not like that before. So the more we do these activities, like he has already said, all these human activities that we do that affect the ozone layer, it hurts our skin. It hurts our health. So, for instance, skin cancer is a very rare, as in the most common thing that happens to us. So that is, in fact, that is a typical example of something that how it affects us as humans.
You know, before I used to think skin cancers only affect these albinos or something. So it can happen to anybody?
Yes, it can.
With the depletion of ozone layer?
Yes, it can.
All right. Now, this ozone layer we are talking about, you know, when I saw this topic, I remembered something from the scriptures where God created Garden of Eden and put Adam and Eve, and gave specific instructions for them to take care of the environment. Now, do we really understand that we have a responsibility in that regard, going by the way our environment is today?
Okay, yes, of course. Just like you said, man is the captain. As far as the earth is concerned, we determine where we go. The earth has been given to man as our area to colonize. So if anything goes wrong, we don't have to blame the animals. We don't have to blame the plants. We must have to blame man. So we actually have a responsibility to play. Of course, science has actually helped a lot to help us see the connection between our activities and its effects. So one of the roles we have to play is in the area of reducing substances that emit these dangerous chemicals that react with the ozone layer. So we have to curtail some human activities. For instance, there are some chemicals used in refrigeration that releases what we call CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. So these are the chemicals that tends to affect the ozone layer. So after the Montreal Council, a number of countries have stopped the use of some of these dangerous chemicals and are kind of using more of eco-friendly products for refrigeration and air conditioning. But where are we as African and as developing countries in adopting some of these eco-friendly products? So these are just few responsibilities we have. We have a responsibility to make sure that we use eco-friendly products, things that will help to sustain the earth and not to deplete or destroy the earth, which is where we live.
Okay, now for the United Nations, you know, to come up with a date to look at this issue of seeing how we can help in preserving the ozone layer. That means it's a global thing. It's not just a Nigerian thing. And just like Doc said, some countries or some nations of the world have tried to see how they can stop the use of some chemicals that they knew, you know, contributes to the depletion of the ozone layer. Now, from your own point, do you think or where were we, you know, when this thing started? Because it wasn't like this before now, you know. What do you think happened along the line that we are talking about depletion of the ozone layer? Did we go up there to draw it down? You know, just like you said, chemicals actually happen. So what happened to people that are supposed to, you know, checks and balances in societies, people that are supposed to control some of these activities? Do you think we just neglected everything that we found ourselves in the state we found ourselves today?
You know, as humans, we don't usually do things until we start affecting us. I don't know why is that. Most of the time we just do, we do the damage happens and we come to start rectifying the damage instead of preventing. I think that is why the UN decided that this thing has started depleting. Let's do something about it. What is causing it? They say looking for the things that are causing it. And in fact, the refrigerator thing was one of the major things that was contributing. So how can we move out of this? So they started looking for eco-friendly things to use and do the refrigerators, air conditioners and all that. So as
could that be the reason why we're having the kind of ACs we are having today.
Exactly.
The kind of fridges we are having today.
Yeah,
Okay,
that is one of, yeah, that is the main thing, because the things they were using before was not good for the environment. It was not good for the ozone layer. So now they have found out these things are the things that are causing it. So let's move out of this and look for something that will make our environment okay for us. As he said, as we Africans, everything goes for us. Maybe that is why in fact, we neglect so many things here. So everything goes for us. As long as it's working, let's use it. We are not thinking of how it's affecting us, how it's affecting our environment. We don't think about it. And it's not an individual thing. It's not just affecting Africa. It's affecting the whole world. So that is why it's a worldwide thing. That is why we have to contribute. We should not leave it for the government. You know, normal Nigerian saying is the government. Everything is the government. This one is not for the government.
Who is the government in the first place?
This one is not for the government. This one is for
government?
Each and every one of us to do something to contribute. He has already listed the things that you can do. In fact, one of the things, when the last time I was on the program, we were talking about tree planting. And today is like, I was in the tree planting event, and how we demonstrated of how you should plant trees, take care of your trees and everything. In fact, that is the most important thing that an individual should do. That is your own contribution to the preserving of the ozone layer.
Okay, before we get to what we can do, actually, I would want us to be specific about some of the human activities, that contribute to the depletion of the ozone layer. You talked about chemicals. Now, tell us, what are those activities? Let's be, specific about them, so that peradventure somebody that is doing it is watching the program. Sometimes you think people know what they are doing. Think people know that they are contributing to the negative impact in the society. Some people don't actually know. So let's be specific here, so that anybody watching that sees us and thinks, oh, I never knew this is what I'm doing, may tend to stop.
Okay, on that, there are, like I mentioned, one of them is some of the chemicals used in refrigeration. So, but some of our artisans are not willing to adapt. They're not ready to transit to some of these new products. So, the air conditioner has been mentioned too. So we talk about farming too. So
farming.
There are some chemicals like pesticides, fumigations, and the rest of them that are used that are not friendly. Some of these gases are also reacting with the ozone layer. So something like methyl bromide is an example, and a good number of them are there. And when people are also careful about the environment, some of these things are written on some of them. And then you can also Google and see the eco-friendly products you can
people doing factories, do they contribute?
Yes, they do.
People in factories, people that manufacture so and so things, let's know.
Some chemicals they use in the factories contribute. In fact, our daily movements, even our using of vehicles, one family will have like 5 vehicles. And the movement, the air pollution and all that contributes to the ozone layer depletion. So it's not like, that's
why I said we should mention them, so that some people, somebody that uses 5 cars may not even know that what he's doing is contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer. But as we say it now, some people may just hear us and decide to, go by using to now fuel is even going to make some of us, reduce the number of cars we use on our roads. But it's important to mention these things so that people will get to understand that, what I'm doing is even contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer.
Yes.
All right.
It's good that you mentioned the fuel thing and how people are now reducing their cost and this thing. In fact, I think that is one of the good things that comes out from the fuel scarcity.
Irrespective of the hardship.
Yes, exactly. So that is something we should actually work on. You will see, we go to these airports and all that, you will pick a vehicle and you are moving. Another person picks, but you can just carpool. Like, it's called carpooling, where 2 or 3 people enter one vehicle instead of entering separately. So that is ways that we can actually just still reduce our impact of how we deplete the ozone layer.
All right. Okay, now the world is marking the day, of trying to see how we can help. And I don't know, the challenges we may have, like you said earlier that some nations have stopped the use of some chemicals. What of Nigeria?
Yeah, this is where we need to come in. Of course, we need to understand that some of the nations, developed countries, are what we call temperate regions. So they do not suffer as much as those of us who are in the tropics suffer. So, of course, if you, like we mentioned, one of the, apart from the skin cancer she mentioned, you realize that this time around people are having more of cataracts. These are as a result of the ultraviolet rays from
eye problem.
Yeah, eye problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you notice people getting 40, they start having a lot of issues with their eyes because of the ultraviolet rays. It's also affecting plants because some of the plants are also not growing properly because of these rays. And for agriculture, sometimes they have to develop what we call greenhouse, kind of a shield where plants are put in a shield so to avoid that rays. So generally, we are more of in a dangerous position, and if there is any people who ought to take it more serious, I think Africa should, because we're in more of tropics, and then we experience more of the heat and then the harmful effects. So just like we said, everybody has a role to play, and we all have things to do. Let's talk about let's always think about the environment than money, because the problem we have here is people keep their eyes on money rather than sustainable lifestyle.
Oh, okay. Now from the this thing, United Nations site, there's this thing they said that the phase out of controlled uses of ozone depleting substances and the related reductions have not only helped protect the ozone layer for this and future generations, but have also contributed significantly to global efforts to address climate change. And furthermore, it has protected human health and ecosystem by limiting harmful ultraviolet radiation from reaching the earth. You said that earlier, that some people have been able to do that. I don't know how Nigerians, or Nigeria can come in, to do what other people are doing. Most times we travel. Most people travel these days, and most people, when we go out, we copy some things. Is there any way we can copy this, which the United Nations have done? They said that they are doing, and some nations of the world have done it. Is there any way we can copy this to see that what is working in other climes is brought home to work for us here, for our healthier us?
I think that is where the government comes in.
Okay.
Because, as I said, it's a dynamic role. Everybody has something to play. The individuals have, community has, and the government have their own part of the problem to solve, which is the policies. If the chemicals and the pesticides and herbicides are coming in, you look at it and put a stop to the CFCs that are coming in as pesticides or any other thing.
So there should be checks and balances.
There should be checks and balances. And that's where the government comes in. So the government should have policies that prevent the use of these chemicals. And as much as they have the policies, we should also obey the rules, because obeying of rules is another thing altogether. So we need to, that is where our own part comes in. Obey the rules that are there. Before you dispose your TVs and ACs, and go to the designated place that is supposed to be disposed. Don't dispose illegally, just dispose anywhere, because all those have effect on the environment and the ozone layer.
This is where, while you were talking, I become somehow emotional because of the way our people see certain things. I had to talk to some people on Saturday where parents that are supposed to obey rules are the ones breaking the rules. And I was wondering, if I can't keep a rule, how do I raise a child that will keep rules? You see where a problem starts. And now, Nigeria, there are so many problems on ground. There are so many things waiting to be done, which, sometimes government bring out beautiful policies. The implementation becomes a problem. Now we have not done the little we could. How do we go about this? You know, because some people don't even understand what we are saying here. Some people don't. You know, you see people behaving anyhow, doing anything with the environment. It's, you know, but when they see where it's clean, they will like that one, or they will enjoy it. So how do we get our people to know that rules are meant to be obeyed and not to be broken? Doc?
Okay, so that brings us to the importance of awareness. Yes, because nobody will know that if I put my hand in the fire, I will get burnt, and then they will put their hands. So a lot of people do a lot of things because they don't really understand the implications. They are going through the consequences, but they don't really understand the relationship between the cause and effect. And that is why this program is very, very important. Okay, government too, or relevant agencies should also take awareness to the doorsteps of the masses. Okay, so the market women, communities, and the rest of them who are engaging in all these practices without knowing the effects should be.
When you go to the other one, they'll tell you they are hungry.
Yeah, of course. We might not really gain once you start connecting their problems to what they are going through with their activities, they'll tend to understand. But if you tend to go through the abstract realm, trying to talk about ozone layer without it, but if you try to tell them, oh yeah, remove your clothes, can you see that from here is dark, white here is clear, is better because of the sunburn? So what is causing it? And then if you start reasoning with them and start bringing awareness, so we need practical approaches where we use more graphics and a lot of things to explain these things to such people who are called non-academic audience. So the issue is there must be a way to pass this message across to people if we want a critical mass of people to start adopting environmental policies that are sustainable for everyone.
You know, we have a big challenge as a people, and I think we need to talk about those challenges. You've heard of some time, I think in the north, where people came for vaccination and people carried their children and ran away, that they're not taking vaccination, you know, that maybe because of misinformation or disinformation or whatever. So what do you think we're going to face in this issue of trying to help in you know, protecting our ozone layer? What are the challenges?
The challenges are massive, especially in Nigeria. There are just so much. But we can't stop creating awareness. You have to keep telling people, because the more you tell them, they might not hear you the first time. They might not even hear you the 10th time. But when you keep telling them, and they now start seeing the effects, because if it's land degradation, for instance, if you don't understand erosion problem in Anambra State, for instance, and you don't understand it, it's not happening to you, so you don't understand it. Until one day you get to see this erosion taking down somebody's house. It's not affecting you, but you're already seeing it taking somebody's house. You will start reasoning, what can I do so this thing doesn't come to me? So when you keep creating this awareness, sensitizing people, and telling them the things that they are doing that are affecting them, and they're already seeing it affecting somebody else. Nobody wants to die young. Everybody wants to live as much as they can. In fact, if you ask some people, they will tell you they want to live 200 years.
Is that possible?
I'm just telling you, if there is a way somebody can live up to 300 years, they will want to live like that. Okay. So you tell them the reasons why they should do certain things to preserve this ozone layer. Nobody wants to go and use all the money they have to cure skin cancer. So it's something we just have to just keep emphasizing on and keep telling people about.
But apart from skin cancer, is there any other thing? Okay, you've talked about cataract.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other thing, effect of ozone layer on humans?
Yeah, we'll
you talk of having effect on plants, you know, but apart from these two things on humans, are there other things that it could happen when the ozone layer depletes?
Yeah, these are the major ones I can tell.
Okay.
Skin cancer, sunburn, cataracts, and these are the ones. And then, of course, like I said, it also affects the plants because that ultraviolet ray is not so good for plants. But of course, these are some of the issues we're having.
You know, I like being so practical so that people will take corrections or try to see what they can do to help in this case. Okay, the program is Good Morning Anambra, and we are talking ozone protection, our shared responsibility for a healthier us. Just like my sister said, everybody wants to live long, but we need to do some things that will actually help us live long in this part of the world. And I've been with Chinelo Umokafo and of course Dr. Emmanuel Chukwuma in the studio talking about this. All these are in commemoration of 2024 International Day for the protection of the ozone layer. At this point, we're going to take a short break. Let's feel the pulse of the masses. We'll be right back with you.
Today we'll be discussing about an important issue that affects us all, ozone protection. The ozone layer, called Earth sunscreen, protects us from harmful ultraviolet rays, but human activities have caused it to depletion, posing risks to our health and environment. How much do people know about this, and how does it affect our daily lifestyle? We are on the streets to find out. I'm Violet Chukwueze. Stay with us.
We don't have forest any longer. People don't plant trees any longer. Those natural things that we do that actually help to protect the ecosystem, they are no longer in place. Some of them call it modernization and all that. So we still actually return to nature, try to encourage nature, try to encourage all these habitat, trees, plant trees, try to make sure that we do not duplicate the natural resources meant to protect us. Also, we also ask and kind of suggest that our building pattern should be changed. Yes, when we build, we try to encourage natural environment in where we live. You can plant trees, you even create gardens and all that in where you live. And then we don't go to get our forest because we want to get wood, we want to get firewood and all that. We want to get make money from timber and all that. We should allow them to grow naturally. When they grow naturally, they preserve the environment. That is another aspect of it.
It's an end to afforestation. Afforestation, like reserve of trees and other things to help the ozone layer, and by creating awareness and letting people know the importance and the ways to secure the ozone layer. Planting more trees. Okay, so I believe if individually and then collectively, if we can have that habit of planting more trees, actually go a long way. And then also, the federal government has already started implementing a scheme whereby they convert cars and then their cars to be using the CNG. I think if you can be able to have cars that actually use renewable energies instead of burning fuel and all those things, I believe it can go a long way now.
Whoa, we have heard it all. The responsibility to protect the ozone is in our hands. Let's make sure that we arise to the challenge. My name is Violet Chukwueze. Thanks for joining us.
All right, you're welcome back to the live studios of Good Morning Anambra, talking about ozone layer protection, our shared responsibility for a healthier Earth. And I'm so glad that the people that spoke actually knew what is happening and what could be done to help in protection or preserving of the ozone layer. Now, before now, I think in the 80s, 70s, 80s, even early 90s, we don't hear about depletion of the ozone layer. And I think this started in the 2000s. 80s. Okay, when it started. Okay, actually, what do you think, happened that the thing started happening? What happened? Because people there, they were living, they were doing some things. So why was the ozone layer not depleted then?
Okay, so like I said, once there is disorder in ecosystem, man is always the focus point. Okay, so the impact of climate change and the ozone layer depletion are all connected to human activities. So we realized there was an increase in human population, and there was also increase in technology, and there was advancement in technology, and all of these things are all connected. So initially, when technology are developed, the impact of this technology are not known until after a while that they are used. So it's after a while that science have to discover that these things are connected to this, and these things are connected to this. So what we're seeing now is connected to population explosion, in Nigeria, seeing how we're growing, and then also advancement in use of equipment, technology, and then another thing is our lifestyle. Okay, so there is environmental sustainable lifestyle that we're supposed to live for, like the man mentioned about planting trees, mind how you manage waste. But these activities are not taking place, and therefore we are seeing what our grandfathers never experienced in our generation because of these factors.
Okay. You think there's something that needed to be added?
I think our grandfathers then, they were eco-friendly.
Okay.
They understood that the environment is something they should take care of.
And probably that's why they always bring out chairs.
Yes.
You
They understood that the trees has a function. Everything has a function. They understood that the environment itself is something you need to take care of. This our generation, nobody talks about the environment. Nobody talks about anything. We just wake up one morning and just do anything we want to do as long as it's working. We think it's working, but on a long run, what do you leave for the future generation? That is what it is. Because our grandfathers then, they had the trees and they planted most of the things they were eating. And they had the way of recycling everything they had. Us, we don't have the recycling mentality. We finish drinking bottled water, we throw it. Our TV is no more good. We just find anywhere and just dump it. All those things, our grandfathers didn't do it. They had I say they had an eco-friendly environment. So I think that is what they were doing that we're not doing.
They eat and convert their
waste
to
something.
to fertilizer or something.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this ozone layer we are talking about, can we talk about it generally as a people when it comes to our environment? There's something you said that really touched me here, that the way we dispose our deaths, you'll be walking on the roads now. In fact, when it rains, the environment is something else. A lot of deaths carried on the street. Are these part of the things that deplete the ozone layer, please?
Okay, it might not really connect to that, but
it contributes.
It also indirectly connects to the problems we're actually having, because how do I put it? The world God created is in order and they're interconnected. So when there is a disturbance in one of them, it affects the other, just like a car or human body system. So if the kidney breaks down, it tends to affect the other. You see the less swollen and a lot of things. So once you start creating disorder in the ecosystem, because some of those things they are throwing away is just to block the line or the channel through which water rain goes to the stream, and from the stream goes to the rivers, and from the stream goes to the ocean, and then start recycling. So what they're doing is they're actually distorting the pattern of nature, and then somewhere along the line we'll have to pay for it.
All right. Earlier in the program I said there's something that came to mind when the Lord created the garden and gave specific instruction to Adam and Eve to take care of this garden, what does that mean when it comes to, our taking care of the ozone layer or helping in preserving the ozone layer?
If we are given something to take care of, it means that it's your sole responsibility to take care of it. Man, they didn't say government. They didn't say any other thing. They said man. So it's me and you. It's not a society. It's not a societal thing or a government thing or community thing. It's if you do the right thing, I do the right thing, things work out. The environment is there for us to protect, not the environment protecting us. We are there to protect the environment so that backward the environment will be friendly to us too. So we are in charge of the environment.
Why are we behaving the way we are behaving as if we don't, do we go back to the era? When do we, I think, don't you think it will be fine for us to go back to that era when you will throw, during sanitation, if they see you use your, whatever you have to carry dustbin and go home. In fact, he was so passionate about the environment. He was so strict with environmental cleanliness. Today you see people drink pure water and fling it through the car window and all whatnot. This is our attitude. What do we do about it?
I think most importantly is awareness. Yes, because sometimes people they can't relate what they do to the impact. So I was in a car and somebody threw away something, and I felt like she didn't see the reason until I started explaining to her. So that, see, this thing you throw away here, it can get to the nearest stream, and then some of your uncles or even you that like fish come and eat fish that eat in plastic, and tomorrow you tell us your friends, your uncle, even yourself are suffering from cancer and a lot of sicknesses that you cannot. So when I connected that throwing away of that plastic from the car to future sickness, she now said, wow, I see, I won't do that again. So I think the problem of masses is awareness. We need to help people see that every action we take.
Till when? Awareness, because this issue is not just children that are doing it. People that are 50, 80, 70 are doing the same thing. Does it mean they don't know?
Okay.
Yeah, you will say they don't know, really.
They don't know.
Seriously, because if you know that, you kept emphasizing how the ozone layer depletion affects us. It also affects our immune system. If you notice of recent, the rate at which people in their 50s and 40s are dying, all these things are things that affect us. You will not know. You will call it village people or find something and call it. But it's not always like that. So, most of them don't even know. You will say you are drinking pure water or bottled water, but those water was gotten from somewhere. The water didn't manufacture itself and come out. So, and that water you are drinking, as much as it has undergone some testing and all that, there are some things that might not even be there in the testing when you do the testing, and you will still drink it. If you keep it for a long time, it stays and you will still have to drink it. Okay. So, everything in the universe has been created in a way that it recycles and goes round and come back to you. So if you throw away something, maybe your TV is bad and you just illegally throw it away, you feel like it's not my business, anybody can pick it up and all that. But somehow it finds a way to come back to you. You think it's not your problem, but it comes back to you, indirectly or directly. So why not just do the right thing? So that is just how it is.
Okay, I hope you're all watching us and taking notes of some of the things we are saying here, because this our environment is in our hands to tend and to take care, and of course when we don't do these things, Doc, what happens? When we don't do what we are supposed to do to help in protecting the ozone layer, what happened to us?
Just like when you say I don't want to drink water, you get dehydrated, get to the point where the kidneys stop functioning, and then you get into serious sickness, and the man who could have lived up to 90 died before 40. So whenever we do any of these things, we have a way of paying it back. So we should know that any of these actions that we do against nature, that nature fights back. So we have a work. So all these things are talking about sicknesses that they were not known to us. These cancer rates, people having a lot of cancers, were not known to us as much as 20 years ago. And the way young people are also dying, people are slumbing, and a lot of these things are connected to our environment. So let me say this, we cannot outlive our environment. The quality of our environment is the quality of life we live. And it is a shared responsibility in the sense that I have a role to play, you have a role to play. And anybody that fails to play his role because of the interconnectivity of the environment, I get the way to suffer from it. So we should also watch out for our neighbor to make sure that they also play their role in environmental sustainability.
Okay, you do your own and you watch your neighbor.
Yeah.
And when we don't do it, the ozone layer keeps depleting.
Yeah.
And once it keeps depleting, we keep suffering it. All right, now I think we start to, let's see, way forward. You know, what do we do as a people when it is now established that we have a responsibility to play, we have a role to play to protect our ozone layer? What do we do? How do we start?
I will start with my first thing I always say when I go to any environmental thing. Please plant trees.
Okay.
Keep planting trees. You benefit more if you have more trees than not having at all. If you cut down one tree, plant two more. So after you finish planting trees, you will now relax and now receive the purification of the air and all that. And also, please, if possible, I know the fuel thing has made people to reduce their use of cars, but if possible, if there is no need for you to drive a car, if there is no need for you to carry 5 cars at the same time, just use one. Or if possible, even enter public transport. It's more eco-friendly than just emitting so much carbon monoxide into the air.
But some vehicles are mint.
They're what?
Mint, new cars that doesn't...
We just release it to a lower percentage.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that they don't.
Yeah, it just reduces it. So the best thing to do is, if there is no need for you to use a private car, you can use the public transport. Or carpool, like multiple people inside the same vehicle instead of just only you driving and all that.
Do we now encourage the government to make transportation as easy as how it is abroad?
Yes,
because in abroad, most people don't use their vehicles except weekends when they want to go for shopping or when they want to go to church or wherever. But on a daily basis, you see people using a bus.
Yeah,
so
it's better. Even the use of train is one of the ways to reduce the emissions we're having as a society. So,
but we don't have trains,
yeah, you can start with mass buses that can help. The government has a role to play, but while we're waiting for the government, let's start as individuals.
Okay.
So, personally, I would advise us to go back to nature.
Okay.
Our grandfather never used plastic bottles to drink. He never used nylon to drink. Anything you can do to go back to nature, please do. Avoid use of so much of these takeaways, eating which, if you can eat natural food, plant your green, plant your tomatoes, eat it from your house. Don't always go for processed food. You're much better. And if you can learn to enjoy the natural air, not always staying in your room, and then of course you inhale and you take it back. So our grandfathers who understood these things, late in the evening they go outside and sit under trees and take fresh air. And that's why they live long. But not these days, you see people stay in their roof for almost every time. And they're not getting the oxygen, the fresh air from the trees. And you see our grandfathers, they take water and the water is taking its quality. But this time we have a lot of chemicals, you're not even sure of what you're drinking. Even the plastic water you're drinking, the water in sachets, you don't know how long, you don't know how many chemicals have leached into the water.
Exactly.
You don't know the transportation process. Sometimes you see this water being carried in trucks and it's under the sun. So the chemicals are also leaching into it, and you see people who are also selling it. They keep it under the sun and has been there for hours, and you come and drink. So as much as we can, let's go back to nature, and then we will experience health and strength too.
All right, we've not talked about people, manufacturers, some companies that uses chemicals. What are they supposed to do?
There are environmental policies that guides all those companies. So implementation of those policies help to reduce these things. And also the government providing people that go around to check if these people are actually using the things they're supposed to use. And farmers, especially farmers that nobody regulates, everybody just use anything. There need to be policies, and these policies must be obeyed. So the government, as I said, everybody has a role to play. So the governments have to make sure that these policies are implemented in so many ways, with the companies and the farmers and anybody that uses chemicals, that's maybe even cleaning agents, because there's some cleaning agent that contains some CFCs. So all those things need to be checked.
Some of the aerosols, some of the chemicals used for house cleaning.
Okay. That's what they call CFC.
Yes, chlorofluorocarbon.
Okay. Chlorofluorocarbon. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So those things and things that we need to monitor, things that comes into the states or country. You know, in this Western world, they have checks. Anything that want to come into their country, they want to check it and make sure that these things are good for the human health. So we need to incorporate that into our policies, and we also need to obey the rules, because it's not only creating the policies, it's me and you obeying the rules of this. If the policy says dump your refuse this way, make sure your refuse is dumped at the right place, not illegally. So we need to really obey the rules and the regulation of the country if we want to live long as we want to live.
Okay. You know, there are so many beautiful policies, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
But Nigerian problem is, you know, obeying the rules. Sometimes all these companies, there are people that go for checks or something like that, you know, and who knows, they take them into office, give them one or two things, and they leave without checking what they're supposed to check, actually. When will our people begin to tell ourselves the truth? Because that is what's the cocoa when you talk about, you know, the main issue there is, do you think or do you see the possibility of us getting it right, with people trying to do the right thing at the right time to help in checkmating or in preventing this depletion of the ozone layer we are talking about, Doc?
Yeah, like we said, it's a shared responsibility. It starts with me and it starts with you. So everybody has a place where you're occupying and you have a role to play. Like me, that is a lecturer, one of the things I do is I create environmental awareness to my students. Some of these things that it might not be part of my coursework or lecture for the day, but I make sure I teach them so that they understand. There are people who are custom officers who just take some money and allow these chemicals, and it kills a lot of us. So it's a matter of everywhere you are, stand for the good of the masses, stand for the good, not just for the peanuts. Stand for what can save our heads. So anywhere you are, you're a police, you notice people are carrying some of these goods, that 15 naira or whatever amount of money they give you does not what allowing those things to get into the markets. People are also selling it. Whoever you are would have a shared responsibility to our environment. Let the consciousness and our integrity keep us rather than the economic benefits.
All right, Nelo, you know, before we wrap up, you know, where do you see us in the next 5-10 years when we, you know, take it as a serious matter to do the things we are supposed to do, the right things we're supposed to do to help in reducing the depletion of the ozone layer?
Okay, from the UN, we have a good news from the UN.
Okay.
The good news says that from the things that have been reduced from using, that has stepped as in making the ozone layer better. But that doesn't mean that because it's getting better, you will now relax and not do anything. So we Africans, in fact, we particular Nigerians, and let me bring it down, we Anambra, in fact, ABS, we, both of us, we need to do something. We need to do something because little drops like that makes it better than not doing anything. We can't just be waiting for, it's not a Western problem. It's a world problem. It's an earth problem. So we need to do something, all of us, not US, not Europe, all of us It's a combined disease. So in the next 5 years, if we can just follow the rules, if we can just do the right things.
Be diligent about it.
Yes. I will see we will feel it. You don't need to tell somebody that the sun is hot. You will feel it. You will know that something is changing. It's like climate change. If climate change is happening, you don't need anybody to tell you. The weathers are changing and everything. Nobody is telling you. You are the one telling yourself that, before now, by October, rain is not supposed to stop small. But now you are seeing that there is a change. There is a move from the regular. So if you do the right thing, in the next 5 years, we should be living in an environment that is very good and very airy and very everything. But we need to really do something individually.
All right, we've talked a lot on ozone protection, our shared responsibility for a healthier Earth in commemoration of the 2024 International Day for the Protection of the Ozone Layer. And great minds in the studio this morning had been Chinelo Umokafo, Secretary, Nigeria Environment Society, and Dr. Emmanuel Chukwuma, activist on environmental sustainability, and of course, an engineer and a lecturer with Nnamdi Azikiwe University here in Awka. You've heard all that we have said. The Lord created a beautiful environment and gave to us human with specific instruction for us to manage it, for us to take care of the environment for our own good. And when we don't, we have had the consequences. But when we do the right things we are supposed to do, we live to enjoy life and live it to the full. And on that note, I'd like to appreciate you so much, Chinelo and Emmanuel, for being here this morning. Thank you so much for your time and quality time at that.
Thank you very much.
All right. And that's it on Good Morning Anambra Show for today. We'd like to thank you so much. Do join us again tomorrow for yet another beautiful outing. My name is Nonye Mokoye. It's a goodbye.